Are you looking for a faster video? Well, today it's a live stream, and I know you're probably looking for a really nice and tidy, edited down video, but I have ways for you to make it faster. You can click that little gear on the YouTube settings right there on the video and adjust the playback speed, make me sound like a chipmunk, and it'll go a lot faster. You can also look and see if there's timestamps for this project in the description, and if you're on a desktop, you can hover over the time bar at the bottom of the screen and see if it's chunked up into chapters, and then that way you can go directly to the step you're looking for. And lastly, you can also tap on the screen on the right hand side of the video picture or on the left hand side to make the video jump ahead, forward or backward if you're on a mobile device. And you can adjust that amount in your settings so you can have complete control over how much it jumps. So if you are on a desktop, you can use the fast forward or the rewind, and that will make it go faster as well. You can also enable subtitles, and the little CC on the screen will enable closed captioning. That way, if I am a little bit harder to understand with that double playback speed, the subtitles might help you out. All right, well, I know that it's not a nice little edited video, but if you sew with me, we'll get there together and it'll be lots of fun. And now for the live stream. Happy sewing! Hello, how's it going? Oh, I just blocked the microphone, sorry. Hi Hannah, hi Kelly. Hello from California. Hi Delvin, hey Sarah, how's it going? How are you guys? Let me shut my door. I just realized I forgot to do that. I put a little sign on my door now too, so people know. All right, so I'm getting really low on 100% cotton thread after all the bowl making. So I have to wind a bobbin to make the neck warmer. Although my sample neck warmer had polyester thread, and I did microwave that and it was fine. I think that's partly because I didn't know how long to warm it up for. Hey, Margaret. And I was doing it like 30-second intervals because I'd never done it before. And so it wasn't like 2 minutes with nothing in it. You know, it was a neck warmer filled with rice. I think that helped a lot. Because if you saw my stories yesterday, you saw the experimental bowl, because I was like, well, what does happen if you use polyester thread? A fire happens. That's what happens in your microwave. It's really terrible, so don't use that. So if you guys don't mind, hi Megan, do you mind if I start with the oven mitt? Because I didn't plan on doing an oven mitt today until a couple days ago. I was going to do the neck warmer. These are both free patterns on my website. So they're linked in the description, and if you want to link in the chat, just let me know. I have them pulled up. And they come with instructions, and then the reason that I'm doing the oven mitt today is because when I first originally released it, it was just kind of a fun thing I did, and then I feel like it was two holiday gift sewing weeks ago, like 2 years ago, and I just like, here's the pattern and let's sew it together, and that was the video, and there were no timestamps, no written instructions. It was pretty bare bones, and someone just shared it. Sam from Frugalissima shared it, and I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that pattern didn't have instructions, because I sewed it recently and I was like, ooh, this is probably pretty tough for people if they don't, you know, want to look at the video. So I just updated it and made it formalized more in my format. You know, it's got cutting and steps that, these are my edits, steps that go along with the video. And so I thought it would be nice to just sew these today in a less chatty way, if you want. I cut out a few, and I cut out one based on Susie's idea yesterday. You guys remember Susie in chat yesterday? She had the idea of making one into like a face washer. So I cut one out with terry cloth. I think that's actually a really good idea. I wouldn't mind something like that. So Anyway, I want to wind a bobbin while we sew some oven mitts, but if you want me to get to the neck warmer, it's fine. I can do that too, so. I know I promised the neck warmer, and the patterns are available. My chair's in the wrong spot. Is the mic too loud? It looks like it's really loud. I think I turned it down, and then I just realized that the decibel levels were off, so I turned it back up to 0.0. But it looks really high. Is it too loud? Just let me know. So welcome everybody. How's it going? Day 3 of gift sewing week. I've got a nice little pile. I hope you guys are chipping away at some stuff. All right, here's my pile of oven mitts. I cut out a few. Mainly because I had one cut out and then I cut one more thinking, I'll cut 2. Okay, good. Sounds okay. Great. Thank you. And then I cut a third based on the idea of a hand washing thing. So this is my little oven mitt, and it comes in 3 hand sizes. This is the small. And it's pulling a little away from my hand right now, but once it breaks in, it actually stays right up against your hand, so it feels like you can feel the pan really easily. I just made this one the other day. This little seam here is curved, so it's contoured. And then it's got a thumb pocket, and this one keeps flipping up, and a hand pocket, or finger pocket I call it. And it's bound. It's got insulation on both sides. This is the first time I've ever used that stuff called, oh, do we? Really? Oh yeah, you're right, birch. Go away, birch. Please don't turn it down. I won't turn it down, don't worry. Report. Spam. Bye. Thank you, Ray. Hello, how's it going? Oh, you're finishing your Fulford jeans? Nice, person. Someone's poor YouTube account that got hacked, probably. So, I've never used this Insulbright stuff before. I'm really hoping this is actually what it is, because this was, oh, it's so bright. You can't even see. Let's turn down the brightness. We were sewing something a little darker yesterday, and my settings are carried over till today. I just, for a second there, forgot what I made yesterday. I remember now. Can you see? You can probably see it better in this one. You can see it's kind of sparkly. Well, there's another one. Go away. Why are you guys coming to my chat now? Can you not keep telling me? Oh, I don't have it on live chat. I have it on top chat too. Okay. There's a bunch of them, huh? Let's get these out here. If I keep up on it, it will, they will stop. Is there any more? Is there any more? And now, look, I know we've got 3. Okay. So yeah, so usually what I use is like a cotton batting inside. This isn't something that's going in the microwave, so you don't have to be as attentive to things that can go in there. I've just used cotton batting in the past. I've also used an old oven mitt that didn't, you know, it was just too boardy and stiff. And on one side of the oven mitt, it had these like silicone beads, like stripes. And so it offered grip, you know, like a gripping aspect, which is actually our favorite oven mitts. So in some ways, if you felt like it, it may seem a little bit, you know, like you're gilding the lily, but if you really want a nice, safe pot holder, I would buy a pot holder that has that and cut it up and use it. You know, there's all your fabric. I know it's a little bit crazy, but I don't know. I just got really sick of my oven mitt, feeling like I would just resort to using a dish towel. And there's problems with that. Like if you're making a pumpkin pie, or I used to bake a ton. If you're making anything that's liquid, the towel can just drop right in, you know, so it's kind of a problem. So, hey Aisha, hey Nancy, how's it going? Hey Sydney, how's it going? I just love that all your little faces are next to your names again for me. I love it, for those who have a profile thing. All right, so this is it. The loop, you know, is optional. On one of mine, I have a toaster oven that we use a ton. And on that one, what I did was I folded this in half and I put a little tiny magnet like this in there. And then it just sticks to our toaster oven. So we have one on our toaster oven and we have one on our oven. And I make a nice big loop so it's easy because sometimes you're like trying to, do it really quick. So, all right, and so here's the face cloth version. I cut out some terry cloth, and so this is my idea. What do you guys think? I'm going to make the palm in linen on one side and terry cloth on the other. It's a little still too bright, huh? And then on the top, I was thinking like, I'm not going to fill this. I'm thinking I'm not going to put batting on here. And I'm kind of thinking that maybe I shouldn't put batting on the hand. I don't want it to take a long time to dry out. That's what I'm thinking right now. So that's why I'm running this by what you guys think. What's the strategy here, So then this will be here. And this one would be here. But I think like no batting in here would be better. I've never made one like that, so let's try it out. Let's see how mine goes, right? You don't have to, Aisha. For a long time, everybody was gray. Their names were gray, and their profile, there was no even an icon like your letter of your name until like a week ago. Before that, it was great. Before that, there were, everyone's names were different colors, and I could actually kind of glance and it was easier for me to keep straight who was talking in chat. Because sometimes the name doesn't jump out. You're trying. All right, let's try this out here. Let me make sure I roughly follow the instructions in the order this person wrote. So this one isn't going to be sewn like the typical oven mitt. So we're just going to do a little experiment. Yeah, you agree with the no bag? I think it's a good idea. So let's leave that out. And we're just going to fold this part in half. Oh, this piece has, I got a bunch of napkins from World Market because they have some really cute ones. They were 50% off one day and they had some really cute prints. So I bought a bunch and I just washed them all and I have them here. And they've actually been such a nice little thing in my fabric stash. And definitely cheaper than retail fabric. But they're also hemmed and have pieces. I'm going to try and remove this. Why is this so hard this time? I was thinking like Jen Hewitt recently got a contract with them, or, she got her products into World Market. And I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if she has napkins. It would be so fun to have some fabrics of hers that aren't fabrics that are being sold by the yard, Because I know she has canisters and a few other things. All right. So the fold line is not the notch. The notch right here goes to the center of the palm there. So let's just fold this. I could iron it too. And we'll kind of fold this one too. So line up the notch on top of itself, fold it. I think I like this side a little better. All right, and so we're gonna make a casing. I just changed my thread, so let me, is this winding? That better be winding. All right. So I'm going to use a 3/8 inch wide elastic. You can use anything that you've got around. 1/4 to 1/2 inch I think is fine. 3/8 is something I have a ton of. So I'm just going to make my casing just a little bit wider. It doesn't need to be hard to do, And we're going to do it on the other one too. So just kind of eyeball it like this. It won't slide. Just try and keep it as even as possible. The other thing you can do is kind of go, okay, my needle is X amount away from one of the lines on my throat plate, or you can, put a piece of tape there. And then we're going to you can use a safety pin or the loop turner. And this piece, I'm going to make this, I want to see what that is. Yeah, I'm going to make this about I think it's 4.5 or 4 inches. What do I tell you to ut this? I sometimes like it a little smaller, but because we're not doing the batting, I think you're going to want to err on the side of it being more accurate. Oh, it's not written there. I'm going to start with 4.5. Because when you have the batting in there, what happens is if the batting was in here and it was gathering, it would fight to gather up, right? Because the batting makes it so stiff, it has trouble kind of scrunching up. So you have to make it a little smaller and make that elastic really work hard. It's raining. What? It rained here last night. I wonder if our storm is heading your way. All right, so then I just stick the loop turner in there. Yeah, that is good news. Oh, oh, my little toggle. There we go. These things are so cheap on Waywack. I finally got one of those catalogs, and it took me like a week to get around to, you know, reading it. But I've found these in there. They were like $3 each or something. All right, so I just line it up to the end, and then I stitch through all layers. And then I just keep pulling like this. And sometimes what I do is I over pull like this, and then I let go and just let it slide in just like that. And then we've got it secured, and then let's just distribute our gathers. Let's see if we think that'll be enough. I think that'll be enough. Okay, good. It's an experiment, right? Get it in there. Come on, mean. All right, so we now have our pockets, and so now we're just going to sew these together, the palm and then the heat side, which won't be heat in this case. This fabric is growing. I can see it growing. Linens, man. Linens, they have a mind of their own. Okay, just push the seam allowance to one side. So terry cloth is one of those fabrics that is almost banned in my shop because of this thing. But it's not as insipid as things like burlap or fake fur. That stuff just doesn't go away, you know. Did you really, Ray? That's awesome. Yeah, Barbara had your back. All right, so I like to offset these thicknesses. So this one I pushed towards the larger side. So this one I'm going to push towards the shorter side. And then I just stitch it down. This one, this piece is much thicker than that one. So maybe in this case, it would have been a good idea to open it and then stitch on both sides and then do the same with this, and then they would have been even. All right, so we're going to put these wrong sides together. And we're going to put, this is my side of my palm. This is kind of fun. Where's the, isn't there a center? Oh, you know what? I didn't notch any of my stuff that I cut yesterday. I forgot. I remember thinking that. I was like, I don't think I notched anything. Just one of those things. I was a little loopy by the end of the day yesterday between the microwave fire and streaming. You know, stuff. Okay. I made it so that this side goes there. I'm going to match it to that little notch there. This is so weird. It feels so lightweight. So I'm just going to stitch it. And I like to sometimes go, you know, from the center down and then do the same thing over here, because then it evenly distributes it. Because sometimes sewing these things when there's a curve and you've got to like center something in the middle of a curve, that's actually pretty tricky. So just make it easy for yourself, unless you really were like, I want the challenge of it. And then after two of them, you're like, yeah, I don't need the challenge of it. You know what I mean? Because you want, and look, I didn't get it. You want this distance to be as the same, as good, as well as possible, you know? The distance between the end of it to the seam here. Just because, you know, symmetry. Hey, Dawn, how's it going? All right, so let's get this one on here, and then we bind it. Oh, wait, this one has a double notch, so let's center that double notch on there. And there's usually a notch right here that you line this up to. Like I said, I didn't notch it yet. I need to go through and do that now. When we sew the others, it'll be easier. This is so backwards to sew from this way. All right. Now you could take out some of the, gathers. Like theoretically, do you really need these, this elastic gathers? Well, the thing is, like when your hand is in here, you need some space down here. So if you make this flat right here, yeah, you can get your hand in there. But the thing is, you just get less and less room to actually insert your hand in there. And the idea is we're wanting our hand to go all the way in there so that we can grab things when it's used as an oven mitt, right? You want it to be safe. So. Oh, yeah, exactly, Aisha. No, it literally is a band thing in my studio. And I don't have to worry about it so much now, but when I had clients, I had to tell them, I'm like, no, I don't do any prototypes with fur or burlap. Minky came out after that, and then I had to say no minky. Because it's just one of those things that doesn't go away, and it gets in the grooves of your cutting mat. And when you have a lot of clients, you don't want red fake fur fuzz on your other clients' things that's doing, whatever, white undergarments, Yeah, see, that's pretty not symmetrical right there. This one right here. I'm tempted to fix it and not tempted all at the same time. Let's find a binding. Let's see. I think maybe this one. This is one of the bindings that I'm selling right now. It's pretty neutral. So it's 1 3/8 inch wide. Do I want a loop for my little washcloth? I do want a little loop. So let's make a little loop. Because maybe I could then hang it up and that would help it dry faster, right? So there's a couple ways to do this. You can fold this in half, like I do for straps. I fold it in half and then fold these sides up to that half mark and then fold it like this. But for something this lightweight and small, we're just going to sew it right sides together and turn it with the loop turner. It's faster and easier because I have that little gizmo, I always know where it is. When I had a machine that faced the wall, this was on a push pin right here in front of me. And on my old industrial, it could loop over the top of the thread arm, but this one it doesn't. It's got this black cap on the top of it, so I can't get anything over it. I just lost it. There it is. I always had it handy. Yeah, I don't think it'll fit here anymore. Oh, it does fit here. Yeah, and it kind of sticks straight out, but then I won't lose it, It's one of those things you don't really want to bend, lose. It gets caught on things, so. She had fuzz everywhere. Yeah, it'll be there for months, Aisha. So my tips when you have to cut something in fake fur, like all of those folks right now doing, stockings and things like that, first of all, don't buy it. That's my first tip. Use white felt or something else. But if you did and you got like a kit or something like that, here's my tip. So when you cut it, if you can cut it outside, great. If you can't, cut it and then carry it very gently on something outside and then shake it like your life depends on it and get rid of every strand or every little fluff that comes on it. Get rid of it. That right there cuts down on like 85% of the fur. It pulled on the one side. Yeah, this one right here. Yeah, it's a little bit off. I might be able to like fake it a little bit there. All right, so let's iron this. Let's iron this. How are you guys doing? What are you guys working on? We'll just start putting weight on it, even though the iron's not very hot. It won't take much. Is anyone taking time off? I'm imagining that most people, even if they don't celebrate Christmas, they still probably get time off during this time of year because a lot of businesses, you know, like close or whatever. Do you have any plans? Do you have any like goals you're gonna do over your little break? Yeah, you can cut it and throw it in the dryer. That's a good idea. And you just do it on low heat so it doesn't melt. Oh, stretch velvet. Oh, Sydney, that's a bummer. Are you really busy still? All right, so I'm just gonna, this is a little long. Let's put it like right here. The piece I cut here, this is 7.5 inches. I do it a little longer sometimes if I have the fabric because then it's a little easier to handle. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna wing it like that. I hope Susie stops by. I'll have to show her this. All right, so I'm gonna finish the binding on that side. So we're gonna start it on this side. And I'm just gonna turn back an edge. And then I gently pull the binding and I try and keep that raw edge lined up with the raw edge. I know a lot of people probably want to pin this, but I think it's not too bad. If you're pulling your binding just a tad and then keeping it lined up, you almost have more maneuverability if you're not pinning it. The pins make it really fussy, you know? I think that unevenness is going to be immortalized. Let's see. And then when I get to the beginning, I just overlap the binding. Oh, it's just too bright. It's still just way too bright. Like, it's really, really bright. Oh gosh, that's so much better. Is that okay with you guys? So see, I lay it up to this folded back edge right here, and then I'm just going to trim it off right there. I stopped sewing right at that point. So I don't sew binding and make it like in the length and then set it on. Oh, new panini. Oh, I'm sorry, Fiona. New panini restrictions. Are you in the States, Fiona? I feel like you're not. Yeah, we call it the panini here, so I don't get demonetized. I got that from this YouTuber named Kelly Stamps. She's kind of hilarious. Her style is very unique, and I don't know what recommended me to her, but I watched one of her videos one day, and I was like, this girl is kind of adorable. She's very bare bones, and I kind of like, I don't watch her a lot. I haven't seen her in a long time, but she calls it the panini. The great panini. All right, we're going to trim up this edge here. Oh, decorations. I forgot about that. I haven't done that yet. My husband, like I said, he sprained his ankle the other day, and he basically hasn't left the house, the poor guy. And the leaves, of course, we have pretty bad leaves this time of year, but it's only for like 1 month if you keep up on it. Oh, my turning tool. Right? Oh, this little thing. Oops. The loop turner. I think it's linked in my Amazon Tools affiliate thingy. Hi, Miss Brenda. How's it going? What the heck, Saremy? Stop it. Jeez Louise, what are you trying to do? Kill your machine? Jeez Louise. Okay. UK, that's what I thought. Oh, nice, Terry. You're not doing a ton of gift sewing. You're so smart. Oh, man. All right, so then I just fold it. So sometimes I start right where I did this little overlap. Sometimes it's a little fiddly depending on how thick it is right here. This is pretty thin, so I can start right here. And I kind of overfold this under one here. See how this little tail is like kind of hanging out there, whereas over here it won't. And that's because, like I say, it's like so much thicker here. You got to kind of compensate, make it a little smaller so this can wrap around it and not like make a big bump there. And then I just fold it just past that stitch line. And we're just going to kind of pre-fold this whole area. Because I slightly pulled on it while I attached it, it wants to turn towards the oven mitt. And I just need to kind of encourage it a little bit. And so now I just use my awl. And I just turn my fold, put my fold just past that stitch line. It's a lot easier to sew than the oven mitt in some ways, but it's not as stiff either. And the stiffness of the other one, while it's a little thick, it kind of keeps this edge kind of flat and splayed. You'll see when I do the other ones. So I'm just trying to get this fold back closer to this stitch line so that I'm not stitching too far off of it on the other side. It'll be invisible with the terry cloth though, right? We're not too worried about it. Terry, every time I say terry cloth, do you go, because that's me anytime someone says ceremony. I'd be in school, like in grade school, and they're like, all right, the awards ceremony. And I'd be like, oh, ceremony, phew. You know, over the loudspeaker. This is kind of an interesting, this idea that Susie had of making this into a face washer kind of sparked like, you know, that might be kind of a new area of gift making stuff I would consider doing, like stuff for people in the bath. Carrie, you do, yeah. 10 pairs of PJs. Oh no, Fiona. Sounds like Valentine's pajamas to me. 50, yeah, you have, you love the Jeans Louises. Oh, nice, Miss Brenda, that's awesome. I don't know if you're here because of my free pattern, but if you need one, there's one, this one's linked in the description. I'm sewing it as like a face washer right now. So this is my first one. Okay, so my first thoughts are that I think I would want it a little smaller because there's no thickness in here. It feels a little baggier here. And what could I do? I was at home, I was like, or I was trying it earlier and I was like, do I even need this thumb pocket? I feel like I do need it. But I think, so one of the things you could do to make this a little bit more ergonomic is put a little thumbtack right here. Let's just do it. I've never actually done this, but I've thought about doing it because then you could, it really makes it secure. And you start realizing you don't even need all this, right? But it does protect your hand, rest of your hand from the oven if you're using this as an oven mitt, right? So I think like, maybe I'll try it. Because when it's wet, it's going to be a little heavier and want to pull off my hand a little more is what I'm thinking. But I think this also is training your mitt to start feeling folded all the time like this. Leave it like that until it starts learning. Oh, nice, Miss Brenda. That's awesome. Am I saying your name right? Yeah, that's what I was thinking too, loofah. What could we use instead of loofah? I think you could use French terry. Kids bath time. Yeah, and you could make it a puppet. Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking, Danny. But the thing is, like, this is what happens. You have silicone ones like that. Oh, interesting. So maybe, what if I did this? You could do this. You could put your whole hand in there, like this, and then leave this off. That would make it easier to sew. Maybe, do you even need this part? I don't use a washcloth, you guys. You guys learn way too much stuff about me on this stream. I don't use a washcloth. I just use my hands. Could I do this? You would just cut it in half. So the ones you're saying you use are just like half the size than like this. This is feeling over-engineered. So you could just take like this part right here, right? Which is this. And then the hand thing, this is this one right here. You would just need these two. You could use a washcloth as the fabric, or we could just use washcloths. Oh man. I kind of crack myself up sometimes when I think about over-engineering. This is really cute though. You don't use them either, but yeah. So I would use a loofah one in the shower. I like doing that. You know? Okay. This is intriguing. Okay. All right, so then let's sew an oven mitt the way they're really supposed to be sewn. But let me put my notches on these pattern pieces. So I had this all organized and then I started going through it. It's always the death knell, you know, for an organized space. Okay, you two, you go there. You guys go here. You go here with, you're missing something. You're missing something. Oh, did I steal it? No. These all go with here. Oh no, it's right here. You're not missing anything at all. Okay. Let's just do my, and I'll go over the pieces that you need cut. There's a pattern piece for each item except for one. And this is this, again, the smallest one. Okay. Oh, Ray, thank you. To over-engineering? I don't know about that. It's with the hard J, like the Y and U. Miss Brynja? Thanks, Ray. I thought that said salad. To over-engineering salad. Woohoo! I mean, can you over-engineer salad? Yeah, actually you can. I've had some really bad salads at restaurants where they were just trying too hard, you know? Okay, so putting all the notches in like a good girl. So I was a bad girl yesterday and did do that. I'm making 2. This cutting is looking a little suspicious, but it usually does, right? Okay. This one, shoot, you have notches too. Great. I just need the notches on one each of these. Just the one that is going towards the palm. This one and this one. Yeah, okay. This one that has it drawn on. Get this one a little better. All right, last one. This one's drawn on, and this one's good. All right, cool. These two go together. Fine. I honestly don't know how this goes. This goes like this. What was I thinking? Anytime I'm doing things like this where I am cutting multiples and I'm using scrap fabric, I get a little bit like, what was I thinking, you know? Yeah, good use for old towels, exactly. All right, so this goes here and you go here. All right, let's sew this one next. And let me pick my binding for both of these. Let's see. That could work. Wait, isn't there a pink version of this? Shoot. Oh, there's blue. Oh, here it is, right here. Yeah, that'll work. And then this one. What about this one? This one's so cute. Okay. It's all for being able to shop at the binding wall. I do all of this just so I get to do that. Wouldn't you? Okay. So for this one here, this incidentally was a handkerchief that I bought from Oil Lily a long time ago. They always used to have these amazing little handkerchiefs. And the edge of it would be scalloped with, you know, like stitching, contrast stitching. It was really cute. And I never really used them for anything but headbands, or I would just buy them because they were just such cute fabric. Sometimes that was all I could afford in that store. I kind of want this to work. Oh yeah, that kind of, this little, I think that, yeah, that's what we're doing. And then this one I'm going to put over here. Okay, cool. I don't know who you go to, but. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is, okay, so these are the pieces. Let's look at those. You need all right, so we need some binding, 1 3/8 inch wide, and you use for the loop and for the perimeter at the finishing step, okay? You need a thumb pocket, and the notch right here at the center goes like this, and then there's a fold line, and you're gonna cut a piece of your batting or insulation up to that fold line. So there's that piece there, and it looks like this. You're gonna do the same thing for the hand pocket. Right? And then for the palm of the hand, there's a side that faces the palm of your hand, and then there's a side that faces the heat. I have the same fabric for both this time, and then you need 1 each of your insulation for that. Thumb side and large side. There's a large side and a small side. And we're going to treat them separately like this too. So you can just separate them out just like that. We can even stack 1 small with 1 big pair and then set them aside just like that. And then we're going to start with this piece right here. We're going to cut our elastic, and I'm doing the small one, so I'm going to cut the elastic 4 inches. But it depends on how heavy weight your fabric is. If your fabric's really heavyweight, you might need it to, you might need to experiment. You know what I mean? All right, so we're going to lay the batting on here up to that fold line, and then make sure that's not the fold line. I keep doing that because the fabric was folded and I didn't iron it. Match your notch to notch like that. And then we're going to put in a casing that's a little wider than our elastic. So this elastic is 3/8 of an inch wide, and I'm going to make a casing that's about 5/8 of an inch. So I can actually put this edge right up to my 5/8 inch mark on my throat plate. I don't have one, but pretend like I do. I have a 1/2 inch. So I'm going to put it just past my 1/2 inch, and we're just going to go straight across. And we're going to do the same on the big one too. That looks different to me for some reason. I don't know why. And then same thing here. Find your notches and line them up. Circles and ovals can be a little funny. They can kind of be shifty, you know? With the gushy center, it does make your fabric shift on top. So I lift my presser foot up and kind of readjust and kind of lightly push this little layer towards it. Anytime you're sewing thicknesses like that, it kind of happens. It's not you, it's just the nature of all the fabrics. Oh yeah, exactly, Aisha. All right, so I use this little loop turner. You can use a safety pin or whatever. Once I get it kind of going through there, then I just pull it, line it up, and then I stitch it down through all layers. Inside that 1/4 inch seam allowance there, And same thing here. Started to lose it there. All right, and then kind of fluff it up. Especially get this area right here a little flatter because it kind of gets scrunched up on itself, and it can be kind of a pain to deal with until you get it nice and flat again. So just slide your gathers away from it so it'll be easier to sew later. And then now you have your hand thing. And this is what happens because we didn't make pattern pieces specifically designed to accommodate this thickness kind of taking up the space between. It might get a little bit funky right there. And that's okay. It's all gonna be fine. Do the same for the other side. So you can't do that loop turner, the other little gizmo for something like this. That's why I love this thing. You know, the one that's like this, the tubes. But those tubes look so cool. I just never got them to work. All right, so now we're going to sew this palm here. And so we're gonna take one small, with the insulation, we're gonna treat it like one layer, and then one big one. And we're going to sew these right sides together. And this is a nice, easy curve to sew. Like most things that are curves, like when you see a seam that has a curve, they're really hard to sew together. This is easy. Sherry, right? What you're saying is, all I needed to use was a shoulder pad to make an oven mitt pattern. And see how I'm lifting my presser foot and kind of easing all those thicknesses in? It kind of wants to push them away. All right, so there we go. That was our seam. And then press your seam one way and top stitch it down. This time I pressed towards the small side. So when I do the other one, I'm going to press towards the large side so it's offset. All right, now we'll repeat this. These are all 1/4 inch seams. I do that a lot. Sorry, they're so small. But it just means you don't have to trim anything later, and it's really makes it a lot easier to maneuver in these little tight spots is when you use a smaller seam allowance. All right, so we're going to push the seam towards the larger side. I'm really pulling too to kind of keep it taut and keep that pressed to the other side. All right, and so now we're going to put these wrong sides together. And if you want right now, this might be a good time to pin it. To hold it in place. But we're going to put the pockets on here now and bind it. Let's see. There we go. That looks a little bit off, but it's lining up. Sometimes, Terry, I think we just want to buy something because it's a cool looking gizmo. Yeah, but I've just never gotten that thing to work. I have a whole thing right here. I have one right here. I've tried so many times. I see people use this thing and it's like wizardry. What I learned was that you need to sew across the end of the tube that you're trying to turn right side out, and then it works great. Okay, so now we're going to lay down. Now, if you want, you can sew around the perimeter. I wouldn't at this stage because we're going to do that right now anyway. So I'm going to line this up with the notches. And this little notch here is where this goes to right there. So that's your goal. It may be a little bit off. This is a lot of thicknesses, and curves tend to get a little bit, you know, unruly, right? So I'm going to start from the center and go towards this side first. Let's see if we can get more of this out to the edge. So like what I do is sometimes just focus on this little corner, this little quadrant right here, right? That's really all we're worried about at this stage. So just focus on that little bit. And then tack this inside your seam allowance. So I'm going to put this, line this up here. And now this is when you really like having the awl, because you can kind of stab it into this little elastic corner and hold it there like that. Okay, so then we have that one. And now we're going to do this one. I'm going to go from this notch down here and go up. I'm going to be overconfident and do that. So I'm going to stab it again in here, pull this, stretching it. Once it's under the needle, I can kind of adjust now. Make sure I got all my layers and I'm catching them all. So I missed right here, so let's just tack this down right here. I knew I felt something suspicious down there. All right, so now we have this, it's very taut. And we're going to do the same with the hand pocket. So our notch. Let's sew from the top down first. Okay. Lots of layers. This Insole Bright's thicker than it seems. It's interesting. I've only ever used cotton batting, and I thought this stuff would be thinner, and I was a little concerned that it would work. But it's actually, it's like slightly thicker. I'm not quite as far away on this side, and I'm not sure. I am a little bit high. Maybe that's what it was. So we'll just try and keep it symmetrical. So see, this curve right here is kind of pushed off of the edge here, so we pull it back a little bit like this and get it to be lined up. Because remember, it has a little bit of a dome to it to allow for the fingers to be in there. It's not the same shape as the palm, which has the, you know, concave circle there. So we can see this is taking on a three-dimensional shape. Let's tack this in here. Oof. Can I get this in there with the wrinkles? I don't know. A little bit of wrinkling there. All right, so now we're going to trim this up, and then we're going to make a loop and then bind it, and it's done. Oh, yeah, you could totally do that. Yeah. I think you just trim it off. Yeah. Suffice it to say, not every tool does everything. So that's why my loop turner sometimes is a little too weak for certain things. And that like tube style might be better. But I find the tube style, it's just so many tools to have, you know, to keep track of. Okay. So let's make a loop to hang it up with. I highly recommend not skipping this step because it is really handy. So I'm just going to cut like a 7-inch length here. We're going to fold it in half. Yeah, so then you would put a piece of yarn in this length, right? Like you would lay it in the yarn right here and sew it in there. You would attach it to one end, right? Through one, as one layer, right? You would attach the yarn to the piece there. And then you could, theoretically, the yarn would be hanging out and you could pull it, right? That's how you do it. Hi, Carrie, how's it going? Not all yarns you can sew across, but you need to find one that works really good. Oh, yeah, you just hand stitch it on. Smart, 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 yeah. Okay. All right, so now let's iron this real quick. How are you doing, Carrie? How are your birds? Are they needy today? What made them needy the other day? Was it like weather, or had they just not seen you enough? Or I don't really know much about house birds. I know a lot about chickens. Ask me just about anything about chickens. And I got you. Oh, Julia. All right, so I'll put my label on this one because this might be a gift, even though I really love it. That's what happens, right? Oh yeah, jute string. That's a good idea. All right, so let's do it on this side. There's more space, you know? So I feel like you could do this a couple ways. If you want it a little flatter, you could kind of fold this like this and lay it like that. Looks kind of cool too. So this piece right here ended up being almost 5 inches. It's about 4.5. So let's tack this down. This label looks like it has a little flaw in it. And then we'll put our loop. Let's see, we'll go like this and like this. No, we're gonna go like this. Oh, the other side looked better though. So we'll do it backwards. That better be centered. It doesn't look like it at this angle. That didn't do what I wanted it to do at all. That's okay though. There we go. Get rid of some of these threads so they don't go back into the oven mitt. And now we're going to bind it. Oh, interesting, Carrie, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Ray. I've heard of that too. Cover cotton cord by using a length twice as long as you sewing inside the tube. Yes, I've seen that before. Hi, Beverly. Melissa Strickland. That's interesting. We have a viewer named Michelle Strickland. Aw. Okay, so we're going to attach this. I like to put the tail kind of in this little section that's a little less thin, but you know, I would do this where you feel comfortable. Maybe one nice long flat, you know, flatter expanse here. You know, here you do have the juncture of the seams, and then you have these two elastic humps. So it's up to you. Let's put this one up here. I just fold back a little tail, and then remember, gently pull your binding. It really helps when you're binding an edge of something. Like, I can't stress it enough. Try and flatten out these little areas where that elastic, you'll feel it kind of like a little bump and kind of going under. So I just do a little bit. I'm only focused on this little tiny area right here, keeping this raw edge lined up to the edge of the oven mitt like that, and just kind of gently pulling, getting closer to another elastic area. So I kind of just, you know, give it a little tug and flatten it out a little bit. Let it know who's boss, right? Same thing over here. I'm coming across another one. It's very thick, you know. It doesn't feel thick to sew on. It just feels poofy. All right, so and try and get that tuck inside the seam allowance. I didn't focus on it too much though. And then when I get to the beginning, I just kind of lay my raw edge almost flush with that one. And now we're going to trim it and just make sure it's a nice even amount. Don't trim it past your seam allowance of your binding. You want it to fill the binding up, right? I think that's one of the keys. A lot of people will trim it a little too much. I've done that before, and then I have to go back and sew it a little bit wider so I have some seam allowance. Like right there, I just got a little too narrow. Because when you don't have it, the seam allowance isn't filling up the inside of your binding, it'll kind of, because it's kind of empty, you get like these little wrinkles in your binding. I wonder what this insole bright's doing to my scissors. You know? I'd love to think that it's sharpening my scissors, but come on. Do we really ever get that lucky? All right. So now we're going to turn it to the right side. Turn it all the way. Do the whole thing. And give it a good tug. You know, tug it all the way around. This one's thicker than that hand wash or the face washing one. So you got to kind of like say, hey, this is what you're doing now. Right? And then we're going to start here. Now, because I started here, now it puts I can start behind this little overlap section. I'm going to start in front of it right here where it's a little easier to sew. Because right here, this is a little tricky. You know, you're approaching that thickness. I mean, it's possible, but I say start somewhere where it's nice and easy. Fold your binding and put that fold just past your stitch line. So fold it as much as you need to get it narrow or wide enough to go just past that stitch line. Get it under, put it under your machine, let your machine hold it while you do it. And I kind of pull this fold and tuck that raw edge against the other raw edge. So, oh, I'm missing chat, sorry. I'm trying to do a nice, concise sew through. Hi Muslima, how's it going? Welcome. Oh man, Ray, that's a bummer. Auto carrot. Right? I love the colorway on this one. I know, it's like, is this really a gift? Maybe to me. All right, so if you just keep that fold just past that stitch line right there, your stitching is going to land on top of the binding on the other side, right? Just keep your needle to the right of that stitching and your binding folded just past the stitching. When it's thick like this, it's almost easier than it was on that face one, because the face one, the binding was almost too wide. And so I was kind of fighting to kind of like, ooh, I need to make this a little narrower. But this one, the thickness of the oven mitt is filling it up. I like to call that the kerf. I like to borrow the woodworker's term of like when they, you know, cut something with a chop saw. The space the saw leaves is called the kerf. It's kind of the opposite. And see what I mean, how this one stays stiff and flat and kind of fills it up, as opposed to the face, while it is thinner and more pliable, it's also a little wigglier and can fold, and it's not staying as neat and tidy. I'm using my awl to kind of push this raw edge. This piece right here is kind of flipping back, and it can do that sometimes, but we're not going to allow it. All right, so we're getting close to this little area where I finished, and so I'm trying to fold this. My hands are doing so much. See, there's this elastic here. So just trying to get this nice and flat. Walking my machine around here. All right, we're almost to the end. All right, and so when I get to this little overlap part, I kind of, you know, like to, it feels like the camera was way far away. I like to kind of fuss with it a little bit. Let's get rid of this tail of thread right here. And so this one right here, I kind of overfold, like I fold it a little more than it needs to be, so that this one can wrap around it and still fit. Sometimes it looks a little messy like this, but I'm going to fix this with my awl. All right, so now we've got it mostly how we want it. I'm going to tuck this inside there. The awl, man. It's magic. Turn of cloth. You know what? You told me that last time too, Barbara. I was just watching a video. But with something like this, would it be the turn of cloth, the thickness of the oven mitt? All right, so here we are. And so you see I have this little weird thing here. I can put my awl in here and kind of pull it like this. Straighten it out. And you see how this is folding up on itself, this binding? Can you see that? I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and get it to stay that way, and I'll show you what I do. I'll tell you why it does that. You see how this right here is sticking up? The reason that does that is sometimes what happens is it gets caught in the inside of my presser foot. Since my presser foot doesn't have a, you know, like blocking off the front, where a lot of like home machines, they have it, it's more like a square with the hole in the middle, right? And you have a slot to put your thread through. This one doesn't, has a slit right here, and it can be kind of troublesome because what it does is it kind of pushes my fabric into a little mohawk and kind of like pushes it through that way. So I have to watch it. So when I see that right here, all I do is just flatten it out with my finger, and it's usually always fine. All right, so let's see how I did. I fell off right here. Does that bug us? Not really. I mean, it doesn't bug me. You get better and better at these. I haven't really sewn these in a while, but this is super cute though. I wanted to do a puppet voice right there, but then I thought better of it. So yeah. Yeah, I think so, Ray. Sometimes that does help hems. Oh yeah, I'd love to make that Hovey jacket. I just don't need that Hovey jacket. Yeah, I think you're right, Barbara. I think you're right. Nello, Nancy, are you here? I saw someone say hi to you. All right, so let's do one more. And I'm going to zoom in my camera a little bit more for you with the actual zoom, not me foisting the thing down. And I need some space here. Here we go. Okay. Nice and close. I am thinking of the idea we had about putting a camera right here, and I'm working on it. I'm going to redo my studio a little bit this winter. It's like I'm like, take 2 weeks off, Saremy, and then I take 2 weeks off, and all I do is, you know, that. All right. All I do is arrange. I'm doing this one right here, right? Yeah, okay. All right, so let's get our pieces out again. So we have this guy, the hand pocket, half of one of those. We have our binding, right? Each of these palms gets, here's my other pocket. See if they can all fit on the camera since it's so close. All right, and so then we have, these are the palm and the heat side of the palm, and then these are your pockets. And then we have the binding. All right, so we'll start again with the pockets here, and I'm going to stick with that 4-inch amount. Sometimes I use 4.5, sometimes I use 4. What you're looking for is something that's going to lay flat when it goes across the palm here, right? So this one goes across here. And the thing is, this is a little bit curved, and the thickness of the batting is going to keep the elastic a little bit stretched at all times, you know? So that's why it's a little bit shorter than what it needs to be. Because if you cut it the actual amount right here, what happens is, it doesn't, it's not strong enough to pull the fabric together because of that batting. It's kind of fighting it, you know. All right, so let's put you away, and you guys are right here. All right, so let's fold this in half, match the notches, which are a little bit all over the place. Great. Let's see, does that keep it? So what you want to make sure is that you're folding it actually on that fold line. It can kind of get shifted. If you want, you can tack this right here. I don't usually, obviously, like the last one, but it might be helpful. All right, and then I'm going to use a 5/8 inch casing because I'm using the 3/8 inch elastic. What's that noise? All right. That looks a little like it's torquing. Do you see that? See it? That's because the fabric was shifting on the batting. You can even see like it's pulled away here and it's over this amount here. Things to think about. All right, line up your notches again right here. Place that in there. We'll tack this again. And then same thing, 5/8 inch casing for me. But like I say, you can use other fabrics. This time I'm going to lift my presser foot and kind of walk that fabric in there so I don't get that ooching that one did. Minky. Denim and milky. All right, so we stick the elastic in there and sew it through. Same on this side. Don't let go of it. Fluff it. Distribute those gathers away from that so it's not too hard to sew later on. Oh, I went on top of that. I want to go on top of the batting. I just realized that's what I want. Kind of be interesting to test like what would work better. Now, another strategy, if you have trouble getting the elastic in there, that can be really fiddly, especially if you're not used to doing it. And I totally understand. It's been fiddly for me before too. I'm really good at it because I had this product with a pocket that had this exact same thing. And I didn't even use a loop turner. I just sewed it all at once with the elastic in there. And there was just this little knack we got good at. It's just something when you do it 500 times, you're bound to get good at it, right? So I know I'm making it look kind of easy, but what you can do is if you make your elastic maybe even like an inch longer and leave something to hold on to when you're pulling it through. Elastic is really, really cheap. And if you buy it, especially like I have these huge spools of it, so it's very much something easy for me to have. If you're buying it in little packages, I can understand how every inch is precious, especially if you're only using 4 inches, right? So you make 2 pot holders and you leave an extra inch, that's 1 whole elastic for a pot holder you could have used. So I get that too. But if you want it to be a little easier, you can leave a little bit to hold on to while you're sewing it. Just a thought. All right, so. Okay. So now we're going to sew the palm together. This is a linen cotton canvas from my Auburn blazer. This literally, these colors together, that's the kind of stuff I can eat. I love it so much. And when I was a kid, I loved orange and pink together so much, and yellow. I would like wear these things together. My mom would be like, no. She'd make me go change. But for me, I was just like, but this goes together, you know? Like, right, this one I'm going to split the difference and we'll just try it. So I'm lifting it up, I'm spreading apart the seam here and kind of pressing it with my thumb like that. And we'll just stitch on either side. Oh, Gorilla. Oh, no. Oh, nice. Did it remove any? Did the acetone remove anything else? You know, it's like you see sometimes those solutions and you're like, well, of course that would remove it, but it removed everything else too, you know. All right, same thing. I'm going to open up the seam here. I wonder a way to apply. Do you guys know, can we add silicone to things ourselves? You know how there's non-slip pajama feet fabric? I definitely wouldn't use that on the oven mitt. I think it would melt. Okay, so don't do that. But I'm kind of curious, there must be a silicone I can apply that's washable and heat resistant for these. Wouldn't that be awesome? There's gotta be. I mean, I literally put non-slip stuff on my rugs that I made, remember? Like, if that's possible. All right, so I'm just looking for my notch, which is not there. And we'll tack it this time. I don't want to tack too much because I don't like that stitching to showing. You know what I mean? There's a notch and there's a notch. Okay. So you get all this ruffly mess. That's normal. If you want, tack it. You know, you can tack it at your seams here. Anything that makes it easier, I think, is great. And is not pins, because the pins can sometimes poke you in these little small projects, you know. All right, so I'm going to put this towards my hand. So this whole thing's going to be one color, and then this is going towards the heat. Whoops. Small side to small side. Let's just tack it all the way around. Straighten out this elastic here. Flatten it out. Now, if you can't meet this notch that's over here, at least maybe make it the same distance apart. No one will know. We're not making anything, you know, going to outer space. It doesn't need to be that precise. Can you guys hear the insole bright? It's crinkly. Did you really? Orange and pink hounds. Wow. Yeah, right, Aisha? Exactly. Yeah, right, Heidi? I feel like Terry in any second's going to be like, oh yeah, it's this. She always knows. Or Malin too. Malin, I feel like, has her finger on the pulse of like all the new patterns and, well, why not this pattern? I'm like, oh, I've never heard of that pattern. Okay. I seem to remember this being further away from the edge like this before, but maybe it isn't symmetrical. I haven't sewn one of these in a really long time. And so when I got the pattern out recently, I was kind of like, there's no instructions? How do I sew this? I really fought to do it because when I made those beeswax food wraps, I was using one of our little pot holders, and I got beeswax all over that thing. And so it pretty much is like, now it's only for making beeswax wraps. And so I was like, okay, I need to replace this. So I'm going to sew one. It sounded kind of like a fun project to do. And then when I went to do it, I was like, yeah, I don't know how to sew this. I had to really think it through. All right, so let's just trim this edge so it's a little bit even in some places, you know, like this intersection here. The seam allowances are popping out. This side is more egregious than the other. All right, let's make our little tie, or loop, I mean. Here, I'll show you the other way to do if you don't have a loop turner. So if it was a big webbing strap, I would actually fold it in half first and press it. Then you have that little line down the middle. This is, you know, pretty fiddly and it can get kind of hot. So you might just want to do as little as possible. So just kind of eyeball that center. But if you need the center, you know, give yourself the center, you know. Just give it to yourself. Give yourself this fold line. Especially if you're using bias, because bias, you know, can be a little wiggly. So then fold up to that fold line. Repeat for the other side. Because you don't need to have a loop turner. Or maybe you're using a fabric that would be really, really hard to turn in a loop. Like maybe you had some cute ribbon you wanted to use just for the loop. Because this is kind of hot. These mats really hold the heat too. So then now you fold it one more last time on that very first one. That was the center. And that's it. And then you just edge stitch it. Why are they oval in 2 parts? They're, that's not a dumb question. There's never a dumb question. Like, I know that goes without saying for most people, but so the reason is that they are actually shaped. So you see how there's this missing part right here? That makes it like it's a dart. So then you can see how it does this. And that's so that when you're wearing it, it actually stays close to your hand. So when you go to pick something up, it's not like, you know how some pot holders are doing this and you're just like, oh my gosh, my fingertips are barely on there. So then once this is broken in, like it sits here like this a little bit, you can see there's this curve. That is actually more the shape of your hand than if it were straight. And that's why it's there. It's just some, like an anatomical fit. Not ergonomic, anatomic. That's why. All right, we're going to do the binding. Oh, and we're going to do my little loop. I was wondering, are there any in here that could work? These are all kind of sweary. So, sorry. Oh, here's these. I was looking for these yesterday. I put them in here. This would look really cute here. I'm going to pull these out so I know where they are. I got these in one of the subscription boxes. I think they're funny. It's just not something I would use. I'll use this one here. Oops, I always keep doing that on the short side. Do it on the long side, just so that loop's not bugging you. Because the way I look at it is, like, this is the top, The loop, you really don't really care too much. Like it's not going to hit as much as this, and you just don't want that loop maybe touching something else. So, hi Elena, how's it going? Random thoughts, still have the iron emoji here. I think next year the Council of Emojis, yes, it's a real thing. But now it's supposed to be, we'll finally pass a sewing machine emoji. Really? Who do you work for, Sarah? Are you letting us in on something? Oh, an oven mitt kit with silicone. Interesting. Is it something, a fabric? Tell me more. Tell me more. When I do it this way, see how this one folds over and then this one folds over, so they're not symmetrical? It stays a little bit more in this boxy shape. It also, I think, stays more if you keep it tight. So when I make it bigger, it makes those corners soften, and then you just end up getting a loop. You can also just do this. This is probably the easiest to use, so it's flat. Lots of ways to do it. Nice, Elena. And that's what I'm wondering. Like I said, I took apart a oven mitt because I was like, we're getting nice pots and pans, and apparently I just thought, you know, spending whatever it was on the oven mitt was a good investment since we just got good pots and pans. Did I just twist that? Well, that's another strategy too, because then at least you have one loop sticking up, and then it's easy to do it, but it's a little triggering too. Let's flatten that out. But they just sat not being used. They were by All Clad. They were these like big boardy things, super thick. We couldn't even like bend them, you know. And that's when I was like, I'm just going to use these. And the binding was stitched together with a binding machine. And when you're removing binding that's been commercially put on, it's only one row of stitching. It's not like when you and I sew it, it's 2 rows, and it's a lot more of a pain in the butt to remove. So it was really easy to take apart. It took me like a minute or less. Like literally, I was like, oh my gosh, this whole thing just came apart after taking the binding off. So I used that. And my husband was like, I'm going to buy more of those, and we're going to cut them up and make pot holders. I'm like, okay. He likes them so much. But if we can just add the silicone ourselves, we could make anything we wanted. Looks like it's just silicone glue. I got to figure this out. This is how I end up having too many supplies, and you know, I'm not even in the business of making oven mitts, you know. All right, so I didn't really like putting my start stop there. I think I'm gonna put it like right here. I'm just trying different things out. All right, I'm gonna flatten out that elastic. So I'm just kind of pulling it, you know, stopping needle down, letting the machine help me out here. Push all these little threads towards the seam allowance. Same thing. I can feel the elastic casing, so I just kind of pull it, flatten it out a little bit. This one's pretty thick with this canvas. So tomorrow, just so you guys all know, I still am sewing the neck warmer right after this. And tomorrow, I'm going live at 3 p.m. Pacific, so 4 hours later. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of hoping I could apply the silicone in any shape I wanted. You know what I mean? Like, I want to squeeze it out of a tube. Is that too much to ask? Like, what do we have to do for that? And is it actually heat resistant? Like, are there different kinds of silicone? I'm sure there are. Because obviously, like, you know, the stuff you seal a bathtub with, that's silicone. Right? It's not clear. But I think they make it clear. As long as something's not hazardous as far as like chemical and stuff, I feel like anything's possible. I'm kind of surprised the things I've found that I'm like, oh, Rayanne, look, we could do this ourselves, and then we do. You know, like we do like we would do a subscription box of something, and we would oh, let's buy all these sewing kits and let's make a sewing kit. And so, you know, then we would make everybody sewing kits, you know. Yeah, exactly, Barbara. That's why I'm wondering. I've seen clear, but is it heat resistant? You got to remember, like, if it's a silicone sheet, can you sew that, you know? See how this one didn't get quite flat, and then this little piece kind of folded towards, kind of makes it a little bit less flat right there. All right, so let's start. What do we think of this binding? I think it's okay. I think it's cute. No, doesn't quite match. It'll match once it's done, right? Okay, this is kind of fussy to put it there. I really do use my machine as a helping hand to do most of my things. Like, I don't pin things because the machine holds it for me. But feel free to pin it if that makes you more comfortable. You know, whatever it takes. My machine's very, very, very strong. So it holds things down harder than I can. So, and I know not all machines have that strength, because I've had some of those machines where it's like I start pulling on it, just pulls it right out from underneath. But I do have the needle down, and you wouldn't want to pull on your needle too much either. And then the other thing is you can, on my machine right here, you can adjust the pressure of the presser foot. Oh, really, Aisha? Because then you can make whatever you want and just apply it afterward. Ooh. I can even apply it to any pot holder I own. This is very, very intriguing. I'm liking this. Did I run out of bobbin? Don't run out of bobbin right now, please. Look at that, though. This is a little too close. But I have a solution for that. Get this all in here. Okay. I love this color with these. Very cute. Okay, where's that spot? Right here. So when you have this happen right here, you could unpick the stitches and look, you see my binding is a little bit, you can push it in. That's because the binding isn't all the way on here, right? We can see I kind of missed it right there. So the binding's kind of empty on this very edge. So you could pop it out and fix it. I will say that's a little tricky because what happens is your seam allowance gets too narrow. You can even see the ridge right there. I actually think that would be a good idea in this case because look, it pushed my machine off. But if it's doing that and you're not having this issue right here, I've never seen this before, you can just pop out these stitches. You've already secured it with the binding stitch, this last one, so you can just remove these and no one will know. But I'm going to remove just a little bit right here because I can tell my machine got pushed. We'll go a little bit further. Sometimes when I do this though, what happens is if I pull the binding more, the seam allowance in there is just too narrow. It wasn't put on with a wide enough seam allowance to begin with. And then you're kind of just trading one issue for the other. And it's just sometimes better to just, you know, pop out the stitches. Rutland and JB Weld are the brands I see. 500. This is very interesting. Does it say what you can apply it to? How much is it, Aisha? I want to do an experiment. Of course I do, right? All right. Let's fix this little bit here. I'm going to take out a little bit more. Try and remember to always remove the thread on the back too. Otherwise, you just stitch it down into it. You can create another mess. I did that the other day. I was like, wow, can't believe I forgot to do that. All right, so let's get that in there. Pull it over. There we go. There we go. That worked out pretty good, actually. I feel like it wasn't lined up somewhere, but that's there. And that's there. Okay, cool. Let's get this starting. Break this in. Got to break them in a little bit. This one's much stiffer. It's not much stiffer. It's a little stiffer. I sometimes will actually do this where I leave them in my shop like this, you know, weighted down to kind of get them. What? It's only $9, a 3-ounce tube. Was that like this? I am so gonna try that. Yeah, right? Well, like I have that one and it stripes across. I think you just really just need it like here and here. Just some stripes. Ooh, that's so exciting. All right, we're gonna make neck warmers now. So, I've learned a lot about these in the last week. I do not also use one of these. Let's see, I don't use bowl cozies and I don't use neck warmers. So I'm learning a lot about these, but my mom has used a neck warmer for a really long time, since they came out. And she's gone through a lot of them. And the last one she had, I bought her, and it was this shape made by a local woman who I do not know who it was, or I'd just buy another one. All right, so it was this shape. Look at mine's. You can see it's a little bit flat on this side and thick on this side, so because I'm learning the filling part. So what I've learned is, first of all, this is going to go in the microwave. I've also learned that, like my mom says, she likes long grain rice over flaxseed. The flaxseed creates hot spots. And the long grain was a little bit more even, but the flaxseed held the heat more. So do with that information what you will. I couldn't find readily available bulk flaxseed. I live in the land where rice is grown, so rice is very easy for me to find. So I'm using that. And this is flannel. I plan to make some in quilting cotton today and flannel. I have two. I'm going to use cotton thread, so we're going to change that right now before I forget. And the other thing I wanted to mention is these aren't hard to sew. They're hard to fill. So what I learned when I sewed this one on camera, which was kind of hilarious and kind of not, is where I stopped stitching these lines was the difference in making it easy to fill or not fill. So when I got off camera, I backed off my stitching a 1/2 inch, and that's reflected in the pattern that I uploaded. You just never know what you're going to encounter, so you got to test things, right? And then that allowed me to get my funnel all the way in there and fill it up section by section. And then when I got to the area where the opening was, I just kept filling, and I had left room for me to actually fill. And I could distribute more rice so it's a little more even, because like right here, this one's kind of slack, you know? All right, but here's the other thing I want to tell you. My mom was like, honestly, my favorite shape is just a rectangle like this. 4-inch, she says 4-inch by 20-inch rectangle. Now, I thought, we were all like, that'll be so much easier to fill. And it wasn't if you do the sections. So if you want to make a cute neck warmer, or a few of them, maybe you have like a yard of flannel and you want to cut them up into 20 neck warmers, and you're going to do the rectangle, don't do the sections. That's my advice. It's really, really hard to fill them. If you are going to do the sections, I say pre-measure the amount of rice for each section. I'm not giving you a pattern or anything on this today. She just said 4-inch by 20-inch. And what I learned was 4-inch by 20-inch is kind of, it stops right here. But here's the deal. This actually sits on my neck, Whereas this one sits on my shoulders. And that's what she said. She goes, I really like the other style. So this one, while it is thick and it is up on my neck, it's not actually sitting against it like this one does. So that's what I would say. It depends on what you want. And I feel like this one actually is more comfortable. It's not as exciting as it looks or to sew. It's a lot easier, but sometimes that's really what you want to hear, right? That's what you want to go with. So that would be the feedback I would give is this is the one the pro neck warmer user likes wearing. But this is the one I'm going to sew today. So if you want this one, because it does look really cool and it is kind of nice that it kind of, you know, it's more of like a warmer shoulder and neck warmer. And you can even see like it's just sitting like on the base of the shoulders back here. So, and this comes with a printable pattern. It's free. It's linked in the description, and then some sewing instructions. It's very simple, 4 pages, half yard of fabric. Yeah, so let's get going. Make sure you're using thread that can go in the microwave. Yeah, absolutely, Muslima. Thanks for coming and saying hello and stuff. Have a good one. All right, so switch into my cotton thread. Yeah, exactly, Barbara. I think that, like, I'm making 2 of these. I'm going to give one to my daughter because I think she'll absolutely love it. For that reason. Like, I think she'll just love having the coziness. She'll probably even just throw it in her bed. Warm up the bed. If maybe you have a old pet that you want to kind of keep cozy a little bit, you know, I think that would be kind of cute. Keep them cozy with a neck warmer. At first, when I tried the 4x20 inch one, I was kind of like, this thing's so small. My mom is much smaller than me. But then I realized, you know, honestly, you don't really need it to kind of drape down, right? It feels secure, so. All right, so I have 2. This one's in, I'm going to piece together this piece of flannel. And I just put my pattern piece on the fold and added a little seam allowance. No big deal, right? There's my, because I really wanted to use this. I'm going to flatten it too. Mainly because when I go to put the funnel in at the end, I don't want the funnel to get caught on it. I'm not lying when I say that it's not about the sewing in this, it's about the rice wrangling. So how well you can wrangle grain is the trick with this one. I'm going to put this right sides together. It's fussy. Want to make sure that I have my opening notched. Oh, I don't. Okay. I was just kind of in an anti-notching mood that day, wasn't I? So here's my pattern. I sort of wish it wasn't on the fold. So I cut my pattern out on a thicker paper, and then what I did was I folded on each dotted line there, and I cut the dotted line off, and then I used my pattern notcher clip across the end. You can do whatever you want. This way I have this space so I can draw lines. So I just made a template out of my pattern. Let's get this lined up a little better. The flannel's growing a little bit. All right, and so I just want to mark on one side the opening. You want to make sure you remember to not, you need to leave yourself a hole. Sorry, I'm trying to think too much. I know, right, Ray? I was like, okay, how do I use this thing? So I actually, you know, like took one and warmed it up in the microwave here at 30-second intervals. And then it was kind of chilly in here, and I was like, this is kind of nice. And I just like walked around the office, you know, wearing it for a while. I will say, like, it stays on because of this shape. So in that way, this shape is kind of nice. Whereas the rectangular one really does go up on the sides of the neck. All right, so we're just going to sew around the perimeter. It's about a 3/8 inch seam allowance. I'm not surprised my flannel's off right there. The quilting cotton's far more stable. Where's my, oh, there it is, okay. Okay, here's my other notch. All right, and we're gonna clip the interior curve here. I would do a lot of clips. Closer together, the better curve you're gonna get. Just go right up to the seam line, best you can. But we're not gonna clip this opening. It'll just make it a little too hard to sew. So, you know, hopefully this will still lay okay, but you can always clip it later if you want. Oh, that is nice, Terry. Yeah, I love those with the auto shut off. That's so smart. All right, so we're gonna clip our corners here. We're gonna try and clip our corners here. I made my husband a shirt out of this flannel. All right, so now we're gonna flip it. The sewing is pretty much done. That's it. It's not about sewing. Oh, well, we do need to do our sections still. Ooh, I just popped my opening there. I'm rushing it too much. I'll use my awl to kind of poke these corners out. My mom loves birds, so I'm going to give this one to my mom, but I'm also going to make her a rectangular one too. I'll probably make her a couple since she goes through them. She handed me this one, of the old version of this one. She said, I haven't used this in a while. It stunk so bad. The flax seeds were so burnt inside, and the fabric was just kind of overheated. You could tell it had gotten kind of toasty a couple times. But the smell was so bad I got rid of it. Otherwise, I'd show you guys. But I couldn't handle the smell of it. I had to throw it away. I emptied all the flax seeds out, and then I made a pattern from the fabric, and then I threw it all away as fast as possible. All right. So now we're going to stitch the sections. And so this is when you need to get your pattern back out. And this might get a little fiddly. So let's mark our center. Right. Now just remember, this is going to get filled with rice. Don't be too, you know, precise. It's going to be okay. Okay, so it's just, so that's our center. I'm going to use a Choco liner. There we go. All right. That doesn't look like the center though, does it? And I think it's an optical illusion because our seam allowance, see? When I pull back the seam allowance, it looks a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah, because flax is a seed. You know, it's like nuts. Nuts get rancid. That's probably what it is. Ooh, you know, Denise, that's a good question. I bought it for my mom 3 years ago, though. And she still had it. So I think she was using it for a long time. Yeah. Now, I forgot my cooling mat under my mattress is a heating thing. But I take it off during the winter. I don't sleep cold. Okay, so we're going to line this up here. Best you can here, and make sure you center it over. Like if you're gonna make a lot of these, my advice would be to take the pattern and print out 2 whole patterns, trim off the seam allowance all the way around, and then put in your marks, and also tape it together so you have one full pattern, right? Because I think it'll be easier for you and less frustrating. Oh, yeah, I bet, Heidi. Corn, I don't think is ideal for heat either. Ooh, there's a little weight right here. Okay. All right, let's put the fold line back. Center it over the seam allowance. I should mark my fold right here. This is my classic thing I do when I have a pattern on the fold. I cut a wavy line so I don't accidentally cut my pattern right there, you know. We have another bot. Oh, Catherine. What are we going to do with you, Catherine? We're going to get rid of you. Okay. This should actually be lining up on there like that. There we go. Okay. Thanks, Terry. All right, so let's do our others. So the key I found is leaving enough space between here and here. These don't look shorter. Am I using the old pattern piece? I am using the old pattern piece. I'm pretty sure I'm using the old pattern piece. Yeah, so you want to make sure that these end, see it says right here, 2 inches of space. And I think on, yeah, so that is after sewing, you want 2 inches of space between the end of your stitch line and that interior. Right? Exactly, Terry. All right, so then we want to end these about 2 inches away. So let me mark that since I'm using my old pattern, my first trial. This chalk will come right off. It'll be no big deal. And then this way, I know for sure. It's like right there. 2 3/8 from this raw edge. All right, now we go. There we go. Now make sure your edge here is pretty much, you know, turned all the way out. Just roll it in your fingers to get it that way. You don't need to press it. You can if you want, but I don't think you need to. And now we're just going to stitch these lines. I think I'll put my automatic back tack on. Ooh. Two more. Where's the line? Last one. All right. I'm going to go through and trim all my threads now. Here we go. All right. Cold feet, warm heart. Or cod feet. Yeah, Terry, I know. And when I forget to turn it off, it makes me jump. All right, let's sew our other one. What time is it? Yeah, we'll sew our other one, and then I'll fill them. Oh, here it is. I'm like, where'd the fabric go? Ooh. Yeah, like maybe a pillowcase and one side, like a pillowcase with an overlapping envelope style back, and then the other solid side of the pillowcase is 2 layers filled with rice. I like that idea. Sounds very cozy, Ray. All right. Please tell me I have these notches. Oh, I do. Okay. So I'm just going to start sewing. I'm not even going to line it up. I'm just going to start. I've really gotten a lot of mileage out of this fabric. But I think it's so cute. I'm going to send this one to Cricket, I think. My husband's going to go spend Christmas with her, so she's not alone on her first Christmas. So I can send her something heavy like a rice-filled neck warmer. Otherwise, I don't know if I would mail this, you know? We're not getting close. Oh, there it is. All right. No fish in the bed. Okay. Turn it right side out. I went to a different grocery store this time to get my rice, and they didn't have 5-pound bags. Exactly, Ray. I know, I told my mom and dad, I was like, hey, you can give us your gifts. You don't have to mail them to her. Make them heavy. All right, same thing, kind of get this edge. The flannel one feels kind of nice. I would definitely pick fabrics that aren't too loosely woven too, you know, like a really lightweight linen or something. Linen would be pretty classy, but some of the linens are, they may be a little too open weave, and I think that over time, you know, things could escape. Oh, I didn't clip my curve, did I? I can tell. Sheesh. Let's just turn out this part right here. I can't believe I forgot to clip my curve. Where's the curve? Okay, it's right here. Sometimes when I sew more than one, I forget to do something to the others because I think I've done it already, you know? Thank you, Heidi. Oh, that's pretty cool, Ray. My daughter had a rock and shell and gem and mineral collection that was quite large. And when she moved out, I was like, okay, we need to have a talk about this. She had them in like organizing these bins and all this stuff, but you know, it was like kid organization. So, oh, Joan. And she's like, Mom, I don't want it. I was like, yeah, I think you want some of this. And she was like, oh, you're right. She went through and grabbed some of it. But a lot of it, yeah, I was like, we could just put in the garden, you know. All right, there we go. So now we're going to do the sections. I'm using not my first choice in thread color, but it'll be fine because the rice is going to push up our sections and we're not even going to be able to see it. This fabric is designed by a company called Dashwood Studio, who I had never heard of, until I started ordering fabrics from, oh my gosh, sometimes when your Choco liner's only been going one direction, it won't go straight when you push it the other way. And you don't know that until you start. I'd never heard of Dashwood Studio before. They have a lot of really cute prints, you know, kind of in this vein. They're cute. The other one I hadn't heard of was Rico Cotton, which, by the way, is really wide. It's the first, like, full width, like, quilting cotton I've ever seen. It's like 45 to 46 inches wide. I think it was 46 inches wide. That's a big difference when most fabrics are 44 or 42. Because sometimes people are doing these really wide decorative selvages. And that is just like lost real estate, in my opinion. Okay, here we go. I really need to update my pattern. I saved my funnel from the other day, though. It worked really good. I made out of vinyl. It was great. You know? Really? Oh, I thought there was a hole in my sweater. That's so cool, Sherry. Sorry, I'm trying to take my vest off. Right? It was kind of hard to get the film out of the camera. I have my, I have prom and homecoming pictures. Although I think my mom made my homecoming. I made my prom dress. Last one. Sorry, I know that's probably really noisy. I'm never even that loud here in general. We have a new neighbor. She's probably like, you said you were quiet. Okay. All right, let's commence the circus act of filling these. Oh yeah, the 60-inch wide, yeah. Okay. All right, so where's my funnel? So I took a piece of vinyl. You know, you're basically, it's not hard to make a funnel. This one here is 17 inches long. And as long as it can fit into all the sections, because you need to stick it in there. And we need to go all the way to the very farthest one first. Just getting it in there is tricky because it's on a curve, right? So you're basically straightening out this curve here to do this. Right? Oh yeah, Sherry, a Polaroid. That's pretty cool. I have one of those from one of the very first times Michael and I hung out. And we were both volunteering at this booth on the Arcata Plaza and we were serving pints of beer together. I don't even remember what the fundraiser was for, but you know, it's such a small town. Like, it's only like 15,000 people, including the students. So anytime people get together, it's kind of a big deal. So us being in public together, people would be like, "Oh, you guys are like hanging out together now," you know, that kind of thing. And then you're just like, "Yep." Okay. Oh, so I'm gonna take all these out of this bin because the bin is going to help catch rice this time. All right. So I think having a helper is really nice if you can have someone holding your rice as you go. Right? And then it's in here right now and it's coming out. And we want to fill that section up. Just try not to leave this section before it's full. It does help to have a stiff funnel too. You guys were all talking about maybe an oil changing funnel. That might be helpful. You just gotta make sure the rice can actually feed through, because I don't really know if it does. Slide it into the next section and the same thing. I finally gotta shake it because the fabric, you know, you just gotta like, oh, it's pulling out of that section. It wants to slide along it. Should have watched a YouTube video on this, honestly, because there's a few. There's probably some really good tips out there. Use my free pattern and their amazing tips on filling it. Okay, there's no more rice in there. Whoever was saying about the corn, filling these with corn, one of my old colleagues, she had pattern weights made filled with corn, like little like bean bags made out of corn. And our office was in this really big warehouse that had been like chunked up into individual spaces. And she ended up having a big problem with mice coming and eating her pattern weights. She had to get rid of them all. Wait. Tailoring ready-made jeans made me look like a diaper baby. Good news, I found the booty. Wow, plus size jean pattern makers. Wait, what? I kind of understand that, but I'm not sure I understand it. Are you sewing yourself some jeans, Sarah? Fill it with popcorn kernels, right? That's what they did. It was filled with popcorn kernels, and the mouse loved it. You know? All right, so you know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to use this bag, and I'm going to empty this rice into this bag so that it's not this huge, gigantic bag of rice. You know what I mean? So this is 2 pounds. This bag was 5 pounds, and I used about 4 pounds for the other one. I used about 4 pounds plus, I did both those neck warmers with the 5-pound bag of rice, the green ones. And then the microwave, oh my gosh, Barbara, right? Would that really happen? That sounds mean. After seeing the fabric turned on me and the overall fit was off. What? Oh my gosh, Sarah, that's terrible. I always just assumed microwave popcorn was treated some way, but you're probably right. It's just popcorn, huh? I'm just like fiddling with it, making sure like I feel a little loose over here. I angled the funnel. This is going way better this time, eh? Looks pretty good, huh? Okay, we're out. I'm just gonna fill one, and so that way you can see me sew it shut. Oh boy. So one of the problems the other day, if you get a 5-pound bag of rice, is handling the 5-pound bag of rice and pouring it into the funnel all by yourself was a little too much. Hi, Susie. Susie, I made a face wash version of the oven mitt. We are literally cooking up. Today it's rice and necks. But with all cotton thread. I'll show you the oven mitt in just a second. The face mitt. We had lots of ideas, Susie. Thank you for the idea. I cut one out this morning. I was like, I'm going to try that. Okay, this is getting in the way. There we go. You want to see? Here we go. So I made 2 oven mitts. But then I made one as a face wash. So I left off the batting and I put terry cloth. And what we were thinking is maybe you could leave off this thumb pocket. I originally was leaving it off, and then I was like, you know what? I feel like I need it to hold it. But then Danny was saying, you know what? I don't even have that. It's only this part. She has something like this, and so it's like, it's basically only this. And you can put your thumb in there. Didn't I stitch down on? Oh, this is it, like this, yeah. So I have a thumb. I stitched it down right here to hold the thumb. So yeah. Anyway. Yeah. You can make a little face mitt. I kind of want to explore this idea more. But I'd use terry cloth. And we left the batting out so it'd be faster to dry. You know, you guys, I wonder if we should have tried making this without the binding. So what if we had taken this pocket and this palm and this pocket, right? Laid them together and then sewed them right sides together to the terry cloth. And then leave a little opening like we're doing here and then edge stitch it shut. Yeah, you could totally extend the hand pocket if you want. Yeah. Lots of potential. So there you go. Thanks for the idea. We have so many bots today. Janice, naughty Janice. You know who's getting coal in their stocking? Janice Megan is. Terry's the Grinch who stole Janice's bot span. Thank you, Terry. Lots of bot wrangling today. Wait, I'm in the wrong section. There we go. Yeah, right, Sarah? You know, that elastic doesn't last too long, some. Just one thickness and binding. Okay, okay. So, because what other, like, items like that could we make? Bathroom items. I have a travel bag that I was planning on releasing last year, but then, you know, we can't travel. My top cam's frozen. Oh, yeah, you're right. What happened? Oh, it came back for a second. Okay. There we go. Phew. Oh, it's even like still at the right settings. What the heck? Thank you. You've missed them all. You are delivering the coal this year, Terry. How does it feel? You have the power. So what other bathroom things could we sew? You thought it was you? You were just like... Terry's like, wow, she can stand still. Okay, Aisha, see you later. Thanks for coming. Yeah, that struggle of walking the dog before it goes dark is tough. Tough right now. Are you drunk with power? I love it. It is the absolute right amount of power. Door stops. Ooh. I've actually made something like that before to keep out the draft up from underneath our door. I made a long tube that was like this big around in velveteen, because that's all I had. And I filled it with like pinto beans or something. And then you could put it across the bottom of the door, and it was great for drafts. I had that thing for forever, and then Michael and I were like, what happened to it? And we lost it in a move. We loved it. Just haven't made another one. All right, so now we're getting to this trickier area where the opening is. So I'm going to put this, I'm going to start, kind of shuttle this over to this far end here, right? And just start filling this one up. I don't know how this, I wish I would have taken a picture of the one that I copied so you could see how tight it was filled with rice. That woman has superpowers, man. The toilet seat cover. I love it. Cornhole pouches. Okay, these are not things for the bathroom. A foot scrubby. Ooh. Yeah, like loofah fabric too. I think that's reasonable, Sherry. Am I inside the thing? Ah, this is very precarious right now. So I'm going to position it kind of in a circle, kind of to help myself. Like that. Okay. There we go. I have never played it either, Terry. Is it like beanbag toss? Don't shoot me. I want this bag for my others. See the sewing? So fast, right? Sewing, not the problem here. It is full-on grain wrangling. I have to open another bag. A shower dress. What's a shower dress? You mean like a shower cap? Shower cap? Oh, okay, okay. Oh, yeah, right, Susie? You missed the other one. That's funny. Toilet paper caddy, okay. I haven't seen one of those in a bit. Okay, we just need a little more rice, and then we can sew this shut. No, no. This is why you do it in a bin. I can't see the edge. That's my problem. I don't have the corner was there. So if you make cornhole thingies, don't you have to make the board too? Or do they just wear out and you have to replace them? It's harder to fill this bag of rice than it is to fill the... Oh, I know what you're talking about, Fiona. Oh, that's, yeah, that would be really great for someone in the dorm or that goes to a public pool. Oh, yeah. I like that. That's kind of fun. Okay. So I'm going to try and see, I'm straightening it out a little bit so I can get a little more rice in here. I hope that some of you do this and you understand how much skill this is taking to do. Okay. And I hope that you all post pictures of yourselves doing it and go, wow, Saramy's amazing. She had to do it on live on camera. Okay. My funnel is like, it was such a last minute thing when I think it was Barbara or Beverly was like, you need a vinyl tube. And I was like, I got one. Thanks on your Instagram. Okay. Oh, okay, Sarah. So they do kind of wear out. Bamboo toweling and buttons holder. Oh, that's cute. Now everybody wants them though. That's the problem. That was your first mistake. Okay. So let's just maybe pin this shut while it's in here. I think I could get more rice in there though, to be honest. So we'll just do a little bit more. I'm going to overfill. I'm going to try and overfill as much as I can, right? Why isn't this coming? Oh, there we go. Okay. Gonna fill a little bit more here and here. It's kind of nice. You can kind of shove it in there and get some more in. I think having it straight like this really helps. Okay. All right. We're going to lose a little, and that's okay. It was a big mistake, exactly. Right. Put less rice and it won't take as long to heat. Oh. That's good tips, Denise. I'm overfilling a little so I can add some to these that are a little slack. And I guess I'm just modeling it after the one my mom had, which was so overstuffed, and I feel like it's supposed to be like that. But you know, I do like how more pliable and soft that one is, not being too stuffed. So let's just let a little bit of this come out. I did find that when I had to re-back tack all my sections when I shortened them, and so I was sewing through rice, and that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Wasn't ideal. Do you think people use solid shampoo bars? Because that's what we're finding. The little eye mask. Oh yeah, the little eye mask. Right, Susie? I do have friends that sleep with a sleep mask though. So you could make one of those. Those things really creep me out. But I know a lot of people really rely on them. The idea just terrifies me. Ooh, yeah, right, Karen? That's a good one. A lot of people color their own hair. Your son just reminded me that I said I was going to get him a slushie for getting... Oh, yeah, awesome. Congrats. Slushies will be had. All right. Not bad. I did a much better job this time. the last time was a bit of a disaster, as you all witnessed. I don't want these really going into my oil pan, so I'm trying to get them out. My husband, I went grocery shopping last night. I'm doing everything right now. I'm doing the leads, I'm taking care of all the pets, the yard, getting all the packages, doing all the mail runs. And I had to do the grocery shopping because you can't leave the house right now, right? I'm doing like everything, you know, I've even been cooking dinner, which is usually something he does, which is really nice. And so last night I was like, we have to go to the grocery store. So I went and I came back with 3 or 4 bags of rice. Well, 3 bags of this rice and then a bag for us to cook. And he was like, was rice on sale? I was like, nah, it's for tomorrow's stream. All right, so, ooh, I got this a lot closer this time. So let's see if we can kind of shake it about and get our whole presser foot on there. You could switch to your zipper foot too. My thing with the zipper foot is that you do have less, you know, surface area, so you have less traction. There's that back tack, just freaked me out. Okay, where's my awl? I'm gonna use my awl here. This isn't that bad though. I feel a couple of rice here. So I'm gonna push them out of the way with my awl. Whoever you give these to, you love them. Either that or you're tired of giving them massages. Maybe both. I got my family this massager. I got like my mom one, my daughter one, my husband one, because my friend had one at our little weekend away and we were all passing it around. I was like, I'm just gonna get this for my family. It was really affordable. It was by Renfo. Hi, Kathy. Yeah, right, Kathy? Exactly. I've heard that. My mom has that issue too. Wait. Who has a body part in excruciating pain? Oh, my husband. Yeah. It's not an excruciating pain. It's just, it's pretty sore, and he can hobble around. Some crutches are arriving today, so that'll give him some more mobility. I've also been doing all the shifts out in the cottage, so I got to sleep in my own bed last night, but I hadn't for like 3 nights in a row. Just because I was like, don't walk out there in the dark. Like the ground is, it's really hard to see the uneven ground when it's dark, you know, on the grass, and it was a little wet. He can't put real shoes on. But he's icing it. He's a better patient than I ever am. And I've sprained my ankles like a lot. Many, many times. All right, there we go. So I have a little slack here so we can kind of move that around. Do you think this is too full, Denise? This is really full down here. Doesn't it break down a little bit too? Maybe not though. My mom's still, well, hers was flax and hers still felt really firm. This looks wider right here. I think it's because it doesn't have as much rice. That's why. There you go. Cool. That went way better than Saturday. Did you guys ever think that that was going to go well? This is going to go well at all? Very nice. It's so heavy. This feels more comfortable than that other one does. I think I got the curve clipped better right here. The other one felt tight. Nice. All right, that was pretty good. I'll do my rainbow one later. So we got, make sure, oh, I have a little spot right there that didn't quite get turned in. See that? I'll have to fix that because that doesn't look very nice. But yeah, this is good. So tomorrow, I'm going to be making the Hillside Tote by Noodlehead. That is the only not free pattern I'm sewing this week. I highly recommend it though. This will be my third one. I've already made it on camera once or twice. But my mom loves that purse and she wants another one. So I'll be doing that. And then Saturday is the Sam apron by Helen's Closet. It's more filled. This one's more filled than that other one. The other one was a little like asymmetrical, you know? Like I didn't get it very filled. I was just thrilled to get it filled at all. Okay, let's see if I can fix this. Get my all out. It's just so much better just to fix these things right away. Otherwise, I just forget, you know? All right, there we go. Get rid of all the little threads. No one will know. Yeah, all right. You can hand sew that too. It looks really cute. Look at this fabric. It's so cute. Oh, nice, Terry. That'd be awesome. The more ice, the longer it will take to heat up, and that increases the chance of fire. Yeah. Yeah, I meant to ask my mom what she does. Try it on. Didn't I just try it on? Put the full screen. I don't know where the camera... Oh, that's right. This is this new camera holder. So yeah, see? It goes up a little bit on the neck. You can kind of put it up there. Can you wear it? No. Wait, I missed what Kathy Sue said. Oh, yeah, the sleep mask, exactly. Nice. I don't think so, Heidi, because this is never going in the laundry as far as I'm concerned, you know? So I think that if you are like raring to go and you've got the fabric, I would go for it, you know? I don't wash these either, but these do go in the laundry. But if they're all going at the same time, doesn't seem like so bad. I find after the laundry, they get a little like wonky, and then I just do this whole thing where I kind of reshape them so that they work really good. And then hang them back up. So yeah. Yay. All right. So thank you for coming today. Appreciate it. And thank you so much for downloading the pattern if you did. And good luck sewing some. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm doing that noodle head purse, the hillside tote. She does have some free patterns on her site too. I haven't made one. I'd love to do that. It's just like, I can't switch my mom's purse up on her, you know, like that's fighting words, you know. She loves it. It's like the first time she's ever been like, this is the perfect purse. So that's great. I hope I didn't make any changes to the one she uses, you know. I should probably ask for a picture on the inside. I should probably watch my video. Oh, thanks, guys. And yeah, you guys too have a good day. I'm trying to think I had something else to tell you, but I can't think of what it is. So I'll see you tomorrow, right? Just remember to use cotton thread on this because it's going in the microwave. And like Denise is saying about the fire possibility, I didn't find any problem with it when I did the flannel one. It has poly thread, but I also did it in like 30-second increments. And it had rice in it. Whereas the microwave bowl that I put in there that had the polyester thread, I just put it in there. I didn't put a bowl in it with food. So, right? So, all right, guys. I'll see you guys soon. Hasta mañana, iguanas. Yes, thank you, Denise. 3 p.m. Pacific tomorrow, 4 hours later than usual. So I hope that works for you guys. And you can come. Yeah. I'm getting used to it. It was a little heavy at first, but this one feels more comfortable than the other one. I like it better. Oh, my fabrics are sold by the pound? I don't have any more of those. The scraps. I think I just gave those away for free. No, thank you guys. Thank you. And thanks for the donation, Ray. Really appreciate it. I have some patrons, new patrons to thank too. I'm sorry I haven't thanked you guys. It's been a little busy. At home it's been busy and here it's been busy. So, all right. I'll see you guys soon. I'm looking for my thingy. Here it is. Okay. Bye.